There, now you can do it quick, hurry.
Welcome back to M&C Gaming.
DomiNations with Mac, Marla, and Christopher.
My Christopher.
Sorry. I broke it. I was busy. It was a busy day. Oh, see? And there was the ding.
Yeah.
Now, is that actually still connected? Let's see. Yeah, it's still connected. Okay, good. Hi, everybody. Good times. So, yeah, rebalance.
Rebalanced.
R-E balance. I don't think they have ever played this game prior to.
Oh, gosh. I wish people wouldn't say that. Like, that is so...
Really? Is that one of the ones that's like under your skin, maybe?
Just a little bit.
I don't understand why. Why is it like I've seen Tin Soldier play and I've seen a lot of these guys attack, and they certainly don't elicit that they understand how to attack or the metrics or any of those things. So why is it wrong to call them out on that?
Okay. One of the things that bothers me is quite often people in general confuse Tin and Ash as developers. They're not.
No, they're not.
So they don't make those decisions, and ultimately the devs probably in the end don't make those decisions, even if they do or don't play. It's
so you figure it's like the dev manager that's making these calls and saying jack that one up to this much.
Well, because it's a publicly traded company, I would suggest that the shareholders make those decisions ultimately.
Monetarily based decisions.
We live in a capitalist society, so anything that is on the market is at the whim of the market, right?
No, and I think that's fair. Partially, but I mean, I know for me personally, if I was doing a live stream and I had the developers that were behind me that had developed and understood how the game worked and had that intimate knowledge of it, and that's what you're saying, that they would be wincing if they saw me doing something that wrong.
Right, absolutely. And probably they would, especially if they love the game. But you know what? They're not going to put those people on the spot or in front of the camera.
I guess. They're not going to put the...
Or they're going to put the people who are just highly passionate about what specifically they do.
Right. They're going to say
that shines through, and
ignore that attack. We know that he doesn't attack properly, so just ignore it. But who knows? Maybe now he does it right. Maybe now he's got it spot on. Maybe he had the right troop comp all along, and he knew what was coming.
Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe they catered it just so publicly they wouldn't look so awful. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? What I do know is that I have 5-starred, I think, a grand total of 1 base so far, because
yes,
of course
me too.
I made the executive decision to start climbing medals before the changes rolled through, and of course as soon as they went live, I'm now pooched. I'm sitting at 2,700 medals.
Oh yeah, like my attacks have been awful, and I've been like
you've been playing around
4-star, 2-star. No, oh, that was me dropping.
This is you dropping medals.
I did. I had to drop, and I got more resources from dropping, sadly, than I did from
looting.
Like, I've just been bleeding resources, unfortunately. I was hoping it would have the opposite effect. And I think that was...
Well... So here's the fallacy that existed before, and still exists probably now, even more so.
But see, I'm losing my whole army in all of these attacks.
That's the key.
So like,
That's the key.
So like, yeah, that looks good if it was actually what I retained. So it just.
But you're spending all of it.
Yeah.
In order to get that 500,000, you're spending all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I just stabbed myself. Yeah, maybe for starters, I want to put the box cutter not in my back pocket.
On the other hand, it's like only the most hyperactive, fanatical people are the ones that are being vocal. So it's hard to say that is the voice of the DomiNations players, right? Like,
I hear what you're saying.
I'm not engaged in the forums on a lot of the games I play, or anywhere. And I've actually spent more money in some of those games than I have on DomiNations. So it's hard to.
It's yeah. It's impossible to gauge.
What I do know is that it seems to be like the long-term players are the most active. So I think
the most vocal about this rebalance. That's really, I mean, one of our heaviest hitters, Beef, outright says, I simply don't have enough firepower available to me to actually destroy an entire base in 3.5 minutes.
Okay, so Christopher assigned me 8. Based on like our old stats, that would have been doable.
Oh, you got this. He's only got 2 defensive coalitions, right?
Level 5.
Hi, Gath. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. How are you finding it? I want to know what your troop comp is and what your multiplayer comp is. I did see that BombX posted a video on lossless troop composition for multiplayer. I'm curious to see that video.
Oh yeah, I was looking at this. I need some wall sappers.
Minimum of 1 wall sapper. You got to get in there to the dead zone of that silo.
Well, I'm gonna do a map. I did quickly look at this. I'm gonna sab right there. Maybe right there. Oh, maybe I should do it right there because it's usually
the tanks that are gonna get you.
Yeah. It's a difficult one. Where to sab? Well, no, because I'm gonna have my Brandenburg gate, so
you're better off, sabbing things that shoot.
So yeah, sab.
I want to know what everybody's going to do. That's what I'm curious to find out. What is everyone doing?
Sab, gate, big drop. I have a protect. I've gone back to protect and 2 decoys.
Oh, you are rocking a couple decoys?
Yep.
Okay. Cool beans.
Still, I find it's, the mass troops that I have a hard time that are holding me up in order to get through a base.
What do you mean by the mass troops?
Well, you get caught up on the troops still before you're, like, killing the base.
Oh, okay. Command now. I'm actually fine with the J and the reduction on the tactic cost is a joke. If any of these devs will play this game, they'd know what a useless change that was. Rebalance. And yeah, I don't think, like, nobody was ever complaining about the cost of tactics. They've complained about the time that it takes. The time cost is really what's of importance to me. I mean, I don't mind dropping my entire army if it only took an hour for it to retrain, or half an hour, or whatever it was. But the fact that it's like 4.5 hours without a tactics blessing.
Well, and even then, like,
that's what people complain about. That's what I complain about, right?
well, yeah, it's the time it takes. I mean, if you want people using them in multiplayer mode, it needs to be a shorter time frame. I know. I think I need to get some more coalitions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's at.
So I've been playing with like commandos, and they're like, if you can keep them protected.
Right now we're in a power spike, probably the biggest for a while. The next spotlight, when defenders get boosted, we could be begging for what we have now. I'm not sure, like, I think the goal is the same as, like, I'm not sure if any of you played Clash of Clans, but Clash of Clans had this insane kind of thought that, you know, there should be less than 1% of the people should be able to get a perfect score. And I think that's what their goal is. But the way that they're going about it is turning it into Clash of Clans, as far as you're not coming home with any troops or tactics or those things. And the changes are, I think, sadly, are pushing people to really, really reconsider going with the heavy tank combo. Running with heavy tanks and APC. Zooks, House,
APCs are not
going to change to heavy tank and war too, probably. Yeah, see, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. And I'm not sure what do you mean by a power spike. I don't quite understand, if you wouldn't mind elaborating on that. I'm not sure how it's affecting. Yeah. I'm not sure how it's going to affect the top 100. What those folks are doing. I know a lot of them are whining and crying and complaining, but we'll have to see. I mean,
well, I mean, every other post is from a Cold War. Well, I would say 5 out of 6 posts are Cold War players, and it's like that's such a small population.
But the problem is they're not reaching out to the other population base. It requires a lot of tenure in order to understand where to be vocal as far as the community goes, even to find the forum.
I don't know about that. I think, you know, if certainly now that I've experienced a number of different platforms and games, you know, there's a certain mindset there. Either you know how to play games or you don't.
Yeah, fair enough. And you understand that there's probably a forum and there's probably other aspects to it, including like Facebook and Twitter and these things, right?
Right.
Guess says that Clash of Clans has no troop tactics and no pay to win. No pay to win here. But Clash of Clans is very much pay to play, right? And sadly, that's where I feel this is kind of leading to, is that it's like, certainly this could be classified as free to play if you're the type of person that only wants to play, you know, once a day or twice a day. And that's fine. That's kind of where I'm at now. I throw all my blessings, come back when my tactics are done. Hey, it's Duncan. What's going on, buddy? Long time no see. I hope you're well. Work seems to have kept you way too busy for my liking anyways. We've missed you. So if you want, it's going to be pay to play, as far as if you want to do those consistent attacks, heavy tank, or, you know, pay for it. Planes can kill defenders much faster now. Next patch, we may get stronger Zooks, etc., but at the cost of potentially 200% stronger defenders. Now I can enjoy using planes to kill max defenders. Absolutely. I have noticed that my planes do feel a little bit more squishy. I'm super excited for the Amelia discount that's coming up on the 10th. 10th? 9th? 9th? 10th? 9th? One of those. Anyways, Amelia is coming. I'm sure if you really want to dig for it, you can find that's like a 75% discount or something like that. It's insane. I'm saving my oil. Not that I have a whole lot. Gath, I prefer pay to play than pay to elephant archer win. I've noticed that a whole lot of teams don't have any more elephant archers. You guys go back from work, see the family for the next few days. Back out. Wow, that's crazy, man. I don't know how you do it. Kudos to you, buddy.
My barracks are full. What am I waiting for? A plane and a tactic.
A plane and a tactic. I'm okay with you waiting for stuff because I'm waiting for stuff too. So the longer you have to wait for stuff, the less I'm going to have to spend. So a heavy tank MK5 with Salisi before would take 5 strafe runs to destroy. Now it takes a maximum of 2 strafe runs. I've noticed that, but I've also noticed that my planes die what I perceive to be a lot faster.
My planes seem a lot more squishy, like they seem to be pretty much useless.
I am hoping, however, that they've also fixed it so that elephant archers actually take normal plane damage. That would make me super excited. Because right now they behave more like generals, right? They're not a standard troop.
Like max generals.
But often, I think it's sadly still possible. Oh, so you still think that card duplication is possible somehow? Is that what I'm hearing? Get him, Marla. Get him.
Oh, I'm not feeling.
Come on, get pumped.
All right,
you got this. And I think moreover, this is what we're going to see here. Is that people are not going to be going for those perfect scores. They're going to be doing the best that they can. 5 max planes now. Nice. See, and that's a huge power spike, and that's awesome. I'm okay with that. I like that idea. I think coalitions are also going to play a huge part in the rebalance. Because those coalitions, of course, have always made a monster difference.
Well, and it's so hard to know in multiplayer mode now because...
University, or not university.
The museum.
Museum.
It's like, you know, what... And I mean, it was just like when the university came out. It's like what used to be reliable is now sort of like you have to...
There's guesswork.
There's guesswork.
There's guesswork involved. It's like
I sincerely hope they never allow the museum anymore.
Well, they said there's going to be a specific wing of the museum that's allowed in war. It's these non-transparent changes, I guess.
How can you call it strategic if it's all guesswork?
Yeah, and that's a very crucial point that you've made there. All right, we're going to be quiet. Let's get it on. Snap.
Man, still
get a rally in.
Oh, I forgot my wall sappers. Oh, that's what's wrong with this. What?
Forgot as in like they're just not in your army?
That's right.
Oh, okay. Oh no. I think that's what my attack's going to look like, sadly. So those who can adapt before October 18th, when the next spotlight goes live, will benefit before defenders become harder to kill. So how have you been contending with it? Have you gone with the heavy tanks then? Is that kind of what you're leading toward, or are you saying that you personally are struggling as well? That's what I'm curious to find out. How are you dealing with it? Did you change your tactics? Have you changed your troop comp entirely? Were you always a heavy tanker and now you're just ever more embedded that that's the way to go.
I feel like there was a push towards heavy tanking, which I really don't like.
But it is the way to go. I think we're going to find that.
I
think they should have left multiplayer the same, just increase the coalition stats by like 200 to 300%. See, that's the type of feedback that they probably could have used, right? They should have kiboshed the whole thing right away and said, "Wait a minute, do we want to impact? Do we want to impact our heavy war or our multiplayer battles?" And the answer is no, you don't. We want people playing more multiplayer battles and getting more resources so that they can upgrade.
Well, I certainly would have October 18th. Little man's birthday.
Aww. But I think that's exactly it.
And I mean, also, I would be more negative towards this, but, you know, they're communicating. They are following through on those communications. It does concern me because they did do this with matchmaking, which they try to sweep under the rug. They've
like a false start.
Removed the links and whatnot.
Like to Tim Tram's post, or Tim Train and what about the weighted averages? Because that's what they were planning on trying to do, right?
Well, no, they said they were gonna watch it, and they were gonna do these small adjustments to help with it, and then they just never followed through.
Well, they test ran it for about a week, and the complaint from the large alliances is that they weren't able to garner a matchup at all.
So now all they have left is those people.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people whining and complaining about the leaderboards, but it's like, well, but that's what you wanted. That's who had the loudest voice. And that's who ultimately...
I think it's unfortunate. I think it's and it's not unfortunate in a sense that they've made these changes. It's unfortunate in a sense that they didn't actually get the feedback from the community prior to implementing these changes. They just said, by the way, we're doing a rebalance.
Yeah, but the other thing is, like, there is information on the background. There's a whole other language. Just because everyday people don't speak that language doesn't mean other people don't. It's like, you know, when they watch The Matrix, some people saw...
I love The Matrix.
The numbers floating by, and other people could
woman
see
in a red dress
what was going on based on those numbers, right? So I mean, there's that whole back end that they're engaged with that we just don't see. And I mean, like I said, the people who are being vocal and, you know, may not be the biggest consumers, you know.
Educative guess, HC is the new way to play MP. If you're industrial age or below... well, I do know. You simply just cope. I honestly perceive that my British comp for EA has not been impacted as drastically as my atomic age composition. My atomic age composition just went in the trash. Like, as soon as it happened, I went ahead and I tried it, and I was just like, that's not going to work.
Yeah,
and since then, I've been playing, right?
I've been more engaged and interested in my attacks since the rebalance, so I don't know.
Lionheart.
Because, and it seemed like before my attacks were like in fast forward, and sometimes I'd be like, gosh, I wish I could just fast forward this attack because
I've already won.
Or, you know, this is all I'm going to do with this attack. I don't want to really watch my troops do stuff that I know they're going to do. It seems like my attacks now are in slow motion, so that's sort of interesting.
It is curious that these buildings take so long to destroy now. But I got something for you.
But, like, my whole attack, I'm sort of, like, watching in slow motion.
I've got something for you.
Or it seems slower, the rate. I don't know. And it sort of rolls out. What do you got?
I got something for you. I got a little something for you. Please excuse the bad singing. Okay, so my target is 3. I can't tell you what I think he's only like a 212, 213 Lionheart.
Did you collect my
Oh no, I didn't. I'm sorry. Game needs to be. Oh, I'm letting you read. I'm focused. I'm focused.
Game needs to be more diverse than heavy tank. When the next spotlight happens, heavy tank meta may not be as popular. I'm predicting a 200% damage bump for Zooks. Yes, machine gunners were also mentioned there, which I think will be a key for the industrial age and lower players. But my understanding is once you get to global, sort of Zooks take over that.
They don't. Well, they do a huge amount of damage versus tanks, right? Which is what they're intended for. But whereas your heavy machine gunners are more of like a pack kind of group, and they do more damage to plentiful troops like garrisons. Like it would be like a machine gunner would be best against a garrison, and a bazooka would be best against a stable or right.
Okay, so
a tank depot.
You raid with heavy tank on industrial, it's viable.
I'm just gonna go there, and then we're gonna go all along here, and then we're gonna go all
I mean, even back in the day, heavy tanking was really popular, and it was just like, because we were hitting all the top tier teams, it was like, oh, let's watch my base be rolled over by, well, let me guess, heavy tanks. Oh, let me guess, heavy tanks.
I'm pretty sure we have at least a couple of videos where that's exactly what we say is, let me guess, oh, heavy tanks, and that's all you do.
So
at least that hasn't changed.
It's especially the V base that was very popular for a while.
The flying V.
The flying V. Yes.
Love the flying V.
Yes.
So I'm gonna walk over my troop comp here before I touch the attack button. I've gone with a ton of, well, not a ton. I've gone with kind of my standard amount of engineers, which is 4. I have jacked up the number of howitzers that I'm going with, field howitzers. So I'm going with 8. It was 10 before, but in light of watching Marla's attacks, a few of her attacks actually, and watching the replay on my own base, Buddy had a couple of commandos, and I am going to jack those up to elite commandos eventually here. I am going with, hey, where did you go? A couple veteran machine gunners. They're, of course, on their way up to elites, I think. But as well, 4 elite bazookas. And I do have an APC. I'm still on the fence as to whether or not they perform. They seem to last all right.
They last, but they don't perform as well as they used to. But you're German, so that might be different, just given the replays that I've watched. Basically, rifle. Well, no, I did get taken out by British, but
look at these tactics. I've got 2 protects. That's what I'm rolling with. Is 2 protects, a heal, and a betrayal. My mercenaries, I've switched them up as well. I'm going with the freedom fighters. As a result of that, I've gone with a heavy tank MK6. Thank you, King Lorenzo, my liege. Because I believe that my generals, along with my alliance troops, of course, I am sacrificing the heavy artillery. And that's going to die. I think that's enough to actually distract the silo for the duration that I need. I've got 3 offensive coalitions, as I always do. I didn't have enough for my Morari, which kind of bothers me. Troop tactics. I'm actually going with a couple of the pirates because I'm thinking that that's really going to become a key to getting through bases, is using custom troops that are target specific.
1 decoy for stronghold.
You know what? I'm not even contending for the stronghold because my attack strategy, if you didn't notice, is like that's last. That is the last thing that is going to be going down. So we'll have to see. And of course, I've got my planes and such. So,
No.
Whoa! What was that? That was a fairly large thump.
That could have been Desmond's head on
something.
the roof.
The roof. The roof.
Bunk beds. And not. Pretty low ceilings down there. But yeah, I think if there's some way I could protect my commandos, they could be a ticket to like opening. Because I mean, like, they're fast. They take out buildings so quick. I mean, they're like, and are upgraded to industrial age. And I mean, there's like a 50%, yeah, 50 times multiplier on them. Crazy.
Oh, where are we going with this? Are we actually going to make it through? Something tells me no. Well, we got a quick victory.
It's good. It's better than I did.
Oof.
Everything but the town center.
I know, right?
Oh. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, let's just say I can't wait until the next rebalance. So it's, I mean, because I mean, I think they're scheduled to be like 6 of them. So we're on 2. So it's not balanced yet. So there is going to be this sort of period of awkward discomfort. But I do think it was needed. I'm not sure. What? That's awesome.
I don't know how that kind of worked out, but it seemed to have worked out with the commandos. But I mean, that's like skin of your teeth, nowhere close to what I am used to. I did, however, manage to get one speed rally in there, I think. Yeah, no doubt, right? What was it that DCW was saying? Something planes kick butt on troops now?
They do, but...
Well, that's the only thing that just got me through that, right?
But they're so squishy now.
Yeah, they feel like a lot more squishy.
Worse than before. They're like these delicate little...
Paper planes?
Paper planes.
Paper planes.
Well, and mine are pretty much paper planes. Let's face it.
Yours are pretty weak. There's an Amelia sale coming up.
That's good. I mean, but I'm almost maxed for my age in Amelia. I have one more level of research I can do for my age. I'm glad it's locked, because that'll actually motivate me to move on. Just getting to those higher levels.
Machine guns are technically a perfect match. You see, and that's kind of where I've always been on the standpoint of Gatling gunners. I mean, the suppression certainly does. The suppression assists when you're dealing with that. And historically, actually, the reason that I liked dealing like pre-decoy, the reason that I liked going with my machine gunners was that they were hardcore. You could rally in the center of a base, take some mortar fire, and still be fine.
Yeah. Well, they could just take the hits, right? And I mean, we've never been, well, our secondaries were both shooter nations. So, anyways,
227.
Yeah, and I don't know, like there was people on the forums like before this even came out, like raging about it and trying to make a decision on it. But like, how can you?
DCW said, you saying 6 of them as a guess, or do you know definitely? I don't know.
I don't know definitely, but I believe in. Maybe it was last live stream. Pretty sure they were planning on doing 6.
6 rebalances?
Yep. 6 stages of rebalancing.
6 stages. Well, smart changes, right? I mean, it's got to be.
Well, and that's what they said, you know, they wanted to. And maybe that's what they've decided is, you know, first we're going to start out small, then we're going to do a drastic change, and then, you know.
But they've got to measure them. Like, they've got to do some hardcore measuring. You have to know what the metrics are that you're using to make the decisions, and then be able to measure that afterwards in order to say, was this successful? And I think that's why they have 6 of them, is because, let's face it, this is a huge, huge game. There's so many different troops. There's so many different tactics and combinations that they have to actually have those finite details to make an appropriate decisions on what they're rolling. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry I gave you such a hard target.
You just wanted to make sure I was humble this
live stream.
This live stream.
That's absolutely what it was. I was
Lessons in Humility by Christopher.
Here's my lessons. Thanks for the tips on how to 5-star mine, Marla. And here's yours. Go ahead and take on that 202, you smart aleck. Good attack. I give a rewatch. Maybe sending in planes for defenders early. Even better. The trapped lineup near drop point didn't help. Yeah. I think like trap placement is going to be a huge one. Positioning of these high hit point buildings is going to be another one. What I do know is that if there's going to be any sort of success now with the rebalance as far as using your default or regular troops, not the heavy tank troops, it's going to be, you're going to have to do the line drop. You're going to have to do the line drop, and that's just where it's at. No,
I don't think the line drop, but I think certainly rallying is going to become more important.
Like speed rallying or like targeted rallying, or what are you thinking?
Speed rallying, definitely. I know I'm using it a lot more in the multiplayer. Certainly you're gonna have to. I
love you, Geth. That's awesome. I'm sorry. I still love you, Marla. I didn't think it was very comedic that you forgot your wall sappers.
Yeah, well.
Still, I mean, I wouldn't rely on any other industrial to actually even attempt that base, to be honest with you. So what do you think the answer is going to be? I mean, I think you've got to be like cold-hearted, calculated as far as using default troops to get through a base. There's got to be some hardcore calculations. And I've always said this, like, especially when I was running with the Greek tanks, I had always done the calculations as far as how many shots do I need in order to kill that one building and that one building and that one building. And that's how I determined how many heavy tanks I would actually deploy. Because I wanted to be able, the goal was, I wanted to be able to deploy the perfect number of tanks that each one of those tanks got one shot off on that building and it fell. I didn't want all to have to wait that full next cycle for them to all reload for only one of them to have to shoot.
Yeah, I'm just not like that.
And I think it is going to be, unfortunately, that's going to be important. It's going to be important, especially like even for the heavy tankers. They'll tell you that it's important to note where you're deploying your heavy tanks because certain buildings fall faster than others. And yes, I think that's going to be more important for everybody.
Yes. And I mean, their damage was upped, which, you know, I do think is important. And I think maybe certainly having them in the mix might be a ticket to success. I haven't.
I think French is going to be valid. I think Greek is going to be valid. Honestly.
And I think the rebalance will allow other nations to shine. In fact, just thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I should try Roman.
Oh,
Roman extra troops.
Roman is like the hardcore valid choice or valid choice for heavy tankers, and that number of shots per building on average is the reason why Roman was the choice, the preference. Simply because it was like, you know, it was 3 shots per building or whatever it worked out to on average, but you got a full extra heavy tank, right? Whereas that 15% buff, I don't think the 15% buff allows you to kill a building 1 shot quicker by being German, right?
Right.
Because a lot of them are like, oh, I'm German. But that 15% boost, I don't believe it allows you to kill something 1 shot quicker. Because that's the only reason that it's valid to actually go German. Mm-hmm. So I'm still kind of wondering what the math looks like as far as, are you better off having 1 extra heavy tank, or are you better off having a 15% boost on the other units? Because at that point it negates having a boost on your heavy tanks. Anyways,
I don't know.
That's my thought process. Anyways, that's my food for thought. Mm-hmm.
But I think you need to be more tanky if you weren't tanky before. Or I got 5-starred by a global. And I mean, British global. Nothing but shooters and...
Like in multiplayer, you mean?
Yeah, shooters and artillery. Maybe some other units in there in the mix, but certainly no tanks. But I mean, it was very flowery. You know, like
flowery.
Well, I mean, like
it wasn't like a hardcore. It
wasn't fast, that's for sure.
Yeah, he just kind of putts through your base and did his thing.
And certainly, you know, dropped all his tactics. So
look at that MK5, MK6.
Yeah, Romans could come back.
I think Romans could come back. As far as the rebalancing goes, my concern with the what we're calling the rebalancing of the nations is that it's still not beneficial to be Greek. Like let's just face it. It's just not of benefit to anybody to be Greek. Sure, you're getting some huge tanks, but that's the only benefit. Right. There's no other.
In the lower ages, especially the really young ages, it certainly
you get a little bit of a refund
quicker.
Yeah. Here's what I'm curious to know.
APCs with Romans, I think APCs are only going to be viable at the moment for German players or Roman players. They're whoever has foots. Because I have been watching the replays and whatnot, and basically your traditional like infantry and rifles are just
not gonna do it.
Not enough to really do a whole lot of anything.
Yeah, see, like it was just my planes. That was sadly the only reason I got through this.
Well, at least your planes lasted that long. Mine usually die in the first minute. Yeah.
See, I should have been taking that out.
I don't know. So next week will be interesting because there will be more data to discuss.
Yeah.
This is all pretty new to make any sort of...
You can't really make any sort of a judgment call because it's still very, very fresh. But I think there's a lot of discussion going on. I'm excited to actually see there be some active changes in the game. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm kind of like, yeah.
You know, I've got to admit,
despite the fact that it being more difficult to 5-star, I'd rather it be more skill-based than...
Yeah, skill-based game.
Brush-based. And I mean, yeah, okay. If you spend a lot of money on the game, you're gonna get ahead. But I mean, what game isn't that?
They're all going to be that way. It's a business. I'll tell you who I'm excited to actually hear from. I'm excited to hear some feedback from the man Quali. I think he'll have some very interesting tidbits. Top players are still 5-starring each other. Yeah, I know. I'm right here. Gath.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all I've got. I mean, I don't know. I told you readout towers were going to be a thing. I've always loved my readout towers, even before they got a buff. Now they're just killer. Look at my machine gun towers. Rocking it. All right. What do you think?
I think that's calling it a night.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, me too. Let's see.
Excited to actually be... I mean...
Maybe I'll have to upgrade my MK1 tanks. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, both of you, for chiming in there. I really appreciate the feedback and the input and the conversation. It's always a pleasure. We'll have to do it again next week.
Yeah, more data.
More data. As always, keep your sticks on the ice.
Have a good time.